Or they sort it in due date list, which is more sophisticated and more helpful, but still very, very wrong. So looking at the 4-quadrant to-do list, if you've got a quadrant where things are important, and due soon, important and not due soon, not important and due soon, and not important and not due soon, all right, which of these 4 quadrants do you think, upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right, which one do you think you should work on immediately? Upper left. You are such a great crowd. Okay. And which one do you think you should probably do last? Lower right. And that's, that's easy. That's obviously number 1. That's obviously number 4. But this is where everybody in my experience gets it wrong. What we do now is we say, I do the number 1s, and then I move on to the stuff that's due soon and not important. When you write it in this quadrant list, it's really stunning, because I've actually seen people do this, and they say, okay, and this is due soon, and I know it's not important, so I'm going to get right to work on it. And the most crucial thing I can teach you about time management is when you're done picking off the important and due soon, that's when you go here. You go to, it's not due soon and it's important, and there will be a moment in your life where you say, hey, this thing that's due soon but not important, I won't do it. Because it's not important. It says so right here on the chart. And magically, you have time to work on the thing that is not due soon but is important, so that next week it never got a chance to get here because you killed it in the crib. My wife won't like that metaphor. But you kill you solve the problem of something that's due next week when you're not under time stress because it's not due tomorrow. And suddenly you become one of those Zen-like people who just always seem to have all the time in the world because they've figured this out. All right, paperwork. The first thing you need to know is that having cluttered paperwork leads to thrashing. You end up with all these things on your desk, and you can't find anything, and the moment you turn to your desk is saying to you, I own you. I have more things than you can do. And they are many colors and laid out. So what I find is that it's really crucial to keep your desk clear, and we'll talk about where all the paper goes in a second, and you have one thing on your desk, because then it's like, now it's Thunderdome. Me and the one piece of paper, right? And so I usually win that one. One of the mantras of time management is touch each piece of paper once. You get the piece of paper, you look at it, you work at it, and I think that's extremely true for email. How many people here, well, I'm going to take it for granted that everybody here has an email inbox. How many people right now have more than 20 items in their email inbox? Oh, I'm in the right room. Your inbox is not your to-do list. And my wife has learned that I need to get my inbox clear. Now, sometimes this really means just filing things away and putting something on my to-do list. But remember, the to-do list is sorted by importance. But does anybody here have an email program where you can press the sort by importance button? It's amazing how people who build software that really is a huge part of our life and getting work done haven't a clue. And that's not a slam on any particular company. I think they all have missed the boat, and I just find it fascinating. Because everybody I know, or most people I know, have this inbox that, all right, I got to ask, how many people have more than 100 things in their email inbox? Oh, I'm just not going to keep going. This is too depressing. So you really want to get the thing in your inbox, look at it and say, I'm either going to read it right now or I'm going to file it and put an entry in my to-do list. And that's just a crucial thing, because otherwise, every time you go to read your email, you're just swamped, and it's just as bad as the cluttered paper. You're all trying to figure out how that heading goes with that picture. A filing system is absolutely essential. And I know this because I married the most wonderful woman in the world, but she's not a good filer. But she is now. Because after we got married and we moved in together and we resolved all the other typical couple things, I said, we have to have a place where our papers go, and it's in alphabetical order. And she said, well, that sounds a little compulsive. And I said, okay, honey. So I went out to IKEA, and I got this big, nice, way too expensive, big wooden fake mahogany thing with big drawers, so she liked it because it looked kind of nice. And having a place in our house where any piece of paper went and was in alphabetical order did wonderful things for our marriage. Because there was never any of this, honey, where did you put blah, blah, blah? Right? And there was never being mad at somebody because they had put something in someone else's place. There was an expected place for it. And when you're looking for important receipts or whatever it is, this is actually important. And we have found that this has been a wonderful thing for us. I think file systems among groups of people, whether it's a marriage or an office, are crucial. But even if it's just you, having a place where you know you put something really beats all hell out of running around for an hour going, where is it? I know it's blue, and I was eating something when I read it. I mean, this is not a filing system. This is madness. A lot of people ask me, so Randy, what does your desk look like? So, as my wife would say, this is what Randy's desk looks like when he's photographing it for a talk. The important thing is that I'm a computer geek, so I have the desk off to the right, and then I have the computer station off to the left. I like to have my desk in front of a window whenever I can do that. This is an old photograph. These have now been replaced by LCD monitors, but I left the old picture because the crucial thing is it doesn't matter if they're fancy high-tech. The key thing is screen space. Lots of people have studied this. How many people in this room have more than one monitor on their computer desktop? Okay, not bad. So we're getting there. It's starting to happen. What I've found is that I could go back from 3 to 2, but I just can't go back to 1. There's just too many things, and as somebody said, it's the difference between working on a desk like at home, and trying to get work done on the little tray on an airplane. In principle, the little tray on the airplane is big enough for everything you need to do. It's just that in practice, it's pretty small. So multiple monitors, I think, are very important, and I'll show you in a second what I have on each one of those. And I believe in this multiple monitor thing. We believed in it for a long time. That's my research group, our laboratory a long time ago at Carnegie Mellon. That's Caitlin Kelleher, who's now Dr. Kelleher, thank you, and she's at Washington University in St. Louis, doing wonderful things. But we had everybody with 3 monitors, and the cost on this is absolutely trivial. If you figure the cost of adding a second monitor to an employee's yearly cost to the company, it's not even 1% anymore. So why would you not do it? So one of my walkaways for all of you is you should all go to your boss and say, I need a second monitor. I just can't work without it. Randy told me to tell you that. Because it will increase your productivity, and the computers can all drive 2 monitors, so why not? So what do I have on my 3 monitors? On the left is my to-do list, all sorts of stuff in there. And my system, we're all idiosyncratic. My system is that I just put a number 0 through 9, and I use an editor that can quickly sort on that number in the first column. But the key thing is it's sorted by priority. In the middle is my mail program. Note the empty inbox. And I try very hard. I sleep better if I go to sleep with the inbox empty. When my inbox does creep up, I get really testy. So my wife will actually say to me, I think you need to clear the inbox. On the third one is a calendar. This is from a number of years ago, but that's kind of like what my days would be. I used to be very heavily booked. And I don't care which software you use. I don't care which calendar you use. I don't care if it's paper or computer. Whatever works for you, but you should have some system whereby you know where you're supposed to be next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Because even if you can live your life without that, you're using up a lot of your brain to remember all that. And I don't know about you, but I don't have enough brain to spare to use it on things I can have paper or computers do for me. So back to the overview. On the desk itself, let's zoom in a little bit. Look, I have the one thing I'm working on at the time. I have a speakerphone. This is crucial. How many people here have a speakerphone on their desks? Okay, not bad, but a lot more people don't. Speakerphones are essentially free. And I spend a lot of time on hold, and that's because I live in American society where I get to listen to messages of the form, your call is extremely important to us. Watch while my actions are cognitively dissonant from my words. You know, it's like the worst abusive relationship in the world. I mean, imagine a guy picks you up on the first date and he smacks you in the mouth and says, I love you, honey. That's pretty much how modern customer service works on the telephone. But the great thing about a speakerphone is you hit the speakerphone and you dial, and then you just do something else. And if it takes 7 minutes, it takes 7 minutes. And hey, I just look at this as somebody's piping music into my office. That's very nice of them. I also found that having a timer on the clock on the phone is handy, so that when somebody finally picks up in Bangalore, I can say things like, I'm so glad to be talking with you. By the way, if you're keeping records on this sort of thing, I've been on hold for 7.5 minutes. But you don't say it angry, you just say it as, I presume you're logging this kind of stuff. And you're not angry, so they don't get angry back at you, but they feel really guilty. And that's good. You want guilty, right? So a speakerphone is really great. I find that a speakerphone is probably the best material possession you can buy to counter stress. If I were like teaching a yoga and meditation class, I'd say, we'll do all the yoga and meditation. I think that's wonderful stuff. But everybody also has to have a speakerphone. What else do we have besides a speakerphone? Let's talk about telephones for a second. I think that the telephone is a great time waster, and I think it's very important to keep your business calls short. So I recommend standing during phone calls. Great for exercise, and if you tell yourself, I'm not going to sit down until the call is over, you'll be amazed how much brisker you are. Start by announcing goals for the call. Hello, Sue. This is Randy. I'm calling you because I have 3 things that I wanted to get done. Boom, boom, boom. Because then you've given her an agenda, and when you're done with the 3 things, you can say, that's great. Those are the 3 things I had. It was great to talk to you. I'd love to talk to you again. Bye. Boom. We're off the phone. Whatever you do, do not put your feet up. I mean, if you put the feet up, it's just all over. And the other handy trick is have something on your desk that you actually are kind of interested in going to do next, so that the phone call, instead of being, wow, I can get off the phone and go do some work, or I could keep chit-chatting. And usually the person you've called, they'd like to chit-chat too. Right? So this is where the time waster in the office goes. And if you're a grad student, well, if you're a grad student, you already know about time wasting. So having something you really want to do next is a great way to get you off the phone quicker. So you got to train yourself. Getting off the phone is hard for a lot of people. I don't suffer from an abundance of politeness. So my sister, who's known me for a long time, is laughing a knowing laugh. When I want to get off the phone, I want to get off the phone. I'm done. And what I say is, I'd love to keep talking with you, but I have some students waiting. Now, I'm a professor. Somewhere there must be students waiting. Right? I mean, it's got to be. Now, sometimes you get in a situation like with a telemarketer, right? And that's awkward because a lot of people are so polite. Now, I have no trouble with telemarketers. I'll just go there with them. Right? If you're a telemarketer and you call my house, you have made a mistake. Right? Yeah, I can't talk right now, but why don't you give me your home phone number and I'll call you back around dinner time. Seinfeld did a great bit on that. Or if you want to be a little bit more over the line, I'd love to talk with you about that. But first, I have some things I'd like to sell you. And the funny part is they never realize you're yanking with them. But if you have to hang up on a telemarketer, what you do is you hang up while you're talking. Well, I think that's really interesting, and I would love to keep, I mean, talk about self-effacing. Hanging up on yourself. And they won't figure it out, and if they do and they call back, just don't answer, right? So 10 years from now, all anybody will remember from this talk is hang up on yourself. The other thing is group your phone calls. Call people right before lunch or right before the end of the day, because then they have something they would rather do than keep chitty-chatting with you. So I find that calling somebody at 11:50 is a great way to have a 10-minute phone call. Because frankly, you may think you're interesting, but you are not more interesting than lunch. I have become very obsessive about phones and using time productively, so I just think that everybody should have something like this. I don't care about fashion, so I don't have Bluetooth, and I have this big ugly thing. Hi, I'm Julie from Time Life, right? But the thing this allows me to do